I'd like to call to order this regular council meeting of the Town of Saugeen Shores, and the first item is disclosures of pecuniary interest, and I'll ask any member if they have any pecuniary interest they'd like to declare. Seeing none, of course you can declare one anytime if you need to. Next is additions, deletions, or amendments to the agenda. We don't have any of those. We don't have any public meetings, so that moves on to adoption of minutes. And the item 1 is the regular council minutes of May 27th, 2019. I have a motion moved by the deputy mayor, seconded by Councillor Schreider, that council adopt the minutes of the council meeting of May 27, 2019 as presented. Questions or comments to that set of minutes? Seeing none, all in favor? That's carried. Moves on to the Committee of the Whole minutes of May 27, 2019, and I have a motion moved by Councillor Schreider and seconded by the Deputy Mayor that Council note and file the minutes of the Committee of the Whole meeting of May 27, 2019 is presented. Any questions or comments to that set of minutes? Seeing none, all in favor? That is carried. That moves us on then to reports of the Committee of the Whole, and the first one is an Infrastructure and Development report of May 27, 2019, and I have a motion moved by Councillor Rich, seconded by Councillor Carr, that Council of the Town of Saugeen Shores adopts the Infrastructure and Development report dated May 27, 2019, recommending the following. 1, that Council directs staff to proceed with a pilot project to collect film plastics at the Southampton landfill site and Port Elgin recycling depot with funding out of the waste diversion item in the operating budget and expansion reserve if necessary. And 2, that Council endorse the comments outlined regarding Bill 108 and that the comments be forwarded to Huron-Bruce MPP Lisa Thompson and the Ministry of Municipal Affairs. Questions or comments to the resolution? Seeing none, all in favor? That's carried. That moves us on to item 2, Protective Services Report, May 27, 2019, and I have a motion moved by Councillor Carr, seconded by Councillor Rich, that Council of the Town of Saugeen Shores adopts the Protective Services Report dated May 27, 2019, recommending that Council adopt the 2019 Fleet Efficiency Plan for Saugeen Shores and authorizes the Fleet Committee to implement cost-saving initiatives as they are identified. Questions or comments to the resolution? Seeing none, all in favor? Carried. That moves us on to item 3, Community Services, Parks and Recreation Report, and I have a motion moved by the Deputy Mayor, seconded by Councillor Schreider, that Council of the Town of Saugeen Shores adopts the Community Services Report dated May 27, 2019, recommending that Council approves waiving the facility rental fees for the Grand Fondo Lake Huron fundraising event organized by the Saugeen Memorial Hospital Foundation at the Southampton Coliseum, scheduled for August 17 and 18, 2019. Questions or comments to the resolution? Seeing none, all in favor? That's carried. Finally, it moves on to the Committee of the Whole report of May 27, 2019. And I have a motion moved by Councillor Grace, seconded by... Is this the right one? I guess so. Okay, pardon me. Seconded by Councillor Mayette, that Council of the Town of Saugeen Shores adopts the Committee of the Whole report dated May 21, 2019, recommending the following motion. Whereas the legislation that abolished the OMB and replaced it with LPAT received unanimous all-party support, and whereas all parties recognize that local governments should have the authority to uphold their provincially approved official plans, to uphold their community-driven planning, and whereas Bill 108 will once again allow an unelected, unaccountable body to make decisions on how our communities evolve and grow, and whereas on August 21, 2018, Minister Clark once again signed the MOU with the Association of Municipalities of Ontario and entered into a legally binding agreement recognizing Ontario municipalities as a mature, accountable order of government, and whereas this MOU is enshrined in law as part of the Municipal Act and recognizes that as public policy issues are complex and thus require coordinated responses, the province endorses the principle of regular consultation between Ontario and municipalities in relation to matters of mutual interest, and whereas by signing this agreement, the province made a commitment to cooperating with its municipal governments in considering new legislation or regulations that will have a municipal impact, and whereas Bill 108 will impact 15 different acts, all listed there for your interest. Now, therefore, be it hereby resolved that the Town of Saugeen Shores oppose Bill 108, which in its current state will have negative consequences on community building and proper planning, and be it further resolved that the Town of Saugeen Shores call upon the Government of Ontario to halt the legislative advancement of Bill 108 to enable fulsome consultation with municipalities to ensure that its objectives for sound decision-making for housing growth that meets local needs will be reasonably achieved, and be it further resolved that a copy of this motion be sent to the Honourable Doug Ford, Premier of Ontario, the Honourable Christine Elliott, Deputy Premier, the Honourable Steve Clark, Minister of Municipal Affairs, the Honourable Andrea Horwath, Leader of the New Democratic Party, and all MPPs in the Province of Ontario, and be it further resolved that a copy of this motion be sent to the Association of Municipalities of Ontario. Questions or comments to the resolution? Seeing none, all in favor? That's carried. Okay, that moves us on then to report of municipal officers and committees. And the first one is the striking committee report of June 4th, 2019. And it has been moved by Councillor Smith, seconded by the Vice Deputy Mayor, that Council of the Town of Saugeen Shores adopts the striking committee's report dated June 4th, 2019, and approve the terms of reference mandate for the Lamont Sports Park Ad Hoc Advisory Committee. Questions or comments to the resolution? Councillor Schreider.
Thank you. Through you. Just one question, 3D, that the committee would dissolve once recommendation is presented to council in the fourth quarter of this year. I guess just a question about, is there any appetite or further conversation with regards to extending the term to have the committee actually active throughout the construction of the sports park?
I think speaking on behalf of the striking committee, I think the intent of of this particular phase is to assist with the community consultation leading into design, and I think what I would suggest, at least we do, and my colleagues on striking may want to add to this comment, is that council revisit at that time once we're at that point, because we may want to alter the complement of the committee and looking for different skill sets or different ideas. So that's certainly something we may consider, but my preference would be to proceed this way for now. Any further comments to the resolution? Okay, seeing none, all in favor? That's carried. Okay, so that moves then on to item 2, Police Services Board Report, May 29, 2019. And I have a motion moved by Councillor Smith, seconded by the Vice Deputy Mayor, that the Council of the Town of Saugeen Shores adopts the Police Services Board Report dated May 29, 2019, that the Chief of Police be instructed to enter into initial conversations with the Town of South Bruce Peninsula for the purpose of obtaining detailed data that is required in order to prepare an accurate cost model regarding the provision of police services to their municipality for Council's future consideration. Questions or comments to the resolution? Being none, all in favor? That's carried. That moves us then on to item 3, a staff report to award consulting services for the official plan. Are there, before I read the resolution, are there comments from the director on that? No? So I have a motion moved by Councillor Gray, seconded by Councillor Mayette, that GSP Group be awarded the contract for consulting services to assist with the official plan review with an upset limit in the amount of $15,000 plus HST to be funded from the Development Charges Reserve Fund, and that the Mayor and Clerk be authorized to sign the necessary documents. Questions or comments to the resolution? Yeah, the Vice Deputy Mayor.
Just to comment about the 15,000 and 70,000 budgeted, Amanda, does that kind of, I mean, did it catch off guard a little bit? That's a substantial. I mean, it's a good news story, from 70,000 to 15,000, and it just so you're quite confident that the review of the official plan is they're gonna be just fine at that dollar amount. It just seems like a low amount to do the kind of review that's required it's going to be required to do.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, what we're looking to do with GSP is have them be a peer for Jay. So Jay has it in his capabilities to do the official plan review on his own, and I think he's got the time to do so. But what he needs is someone to bounce his ideas off of. And then when certain areas get beyond his expertise, then he's got GSP to go back on. So like the natural heritage is a piece, right? He can say, this is what we're looking for, this is what our town wants, and then rely on GSP for how it's done in other places and what to do. Same with like the transportation.
Well, that's terrific, Amanda.
This is like, so it's a lot cheaper that way, but I think it'll be great for us.
Good for you, good for Jay. It's a nice dollar amount.
Any further questions or comments to the resolution? Seeing none, all in favor? That's carried. So that moves us then, we have no motions or notices of motion, so that moves us on to bylaws. There's 4 bylaws for consideration. I'll ask members if anyone would like to draw one of those out for individual consideration. Councillor Carr.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to have bylaw 55-2019 pulled so we can talk about that one.
Okay, will do. Any others? So what I will do is read this with bylaws 52 through 54 and then we'll handle 55 separately. Okay, it's been moved by Councillor Grace, seconded by Councillor Mayette. The following bylaws are hereby read a first, second, and third time and finally passed and sealed this 10th day of June 2019. 1. 52, 2019, being a bylaw to authorize the entering into of a subdivision agreement with Barry's Construction and Insulation Limited for the development of Phase 5, Stages 2A and 2B of the Blue Water subdivision. 2. 53, 2019, being a bylaw to authorize the entering into of a fire dispatch agreement with the Owen Sound Police Service. And 354, 2019, being a bylaw to manage and regulate parks within the town of Saugeen Shores. Are there any questions or comments to that resolution? Councillor Mayette.
Pardon me, Mr. Mayor. I would like to have 54 removed and done separately as well, which is the parks bylaw. 54? You had 55.
Yeah, so 54. Okay.
Sorry, I missed that opportunity.
No, that's fine. Any member can draw one out, and we can have leeway on that. So let's vote on 1 and 2 then. Is everybody clear on the resolution? So all in favor? That's carried. So I have a motion moved by Councillor Grace, seconded by Councillor Mayette, that the following bylaw is hereby read a first, second, and third time and finally passed and sealed this 10th day of June 2019. Bylaw 54, 2019, being a bylaw to manage and regulate parks within the town of Saugeen Shores. Questions or comments at the resolution? Councillor Mayette.
Mayor, at this time, you'll recall that I did not support this bylaw when it was read in Committee of the Whole, and I will not be supporting this bylaw again as it relates to things you can't do in a town, in a park in Saugeen Shores. I know there were small amendments made, a very small amendment to take out the closure of parks between midnight and 6 a.m., but really the overall gist of this really has me not sitting well. When I signed up for this council, I just signed up on the basis of making sensible decisions. And adding 48 things that we can't do in parks in Saugeen Shores, to me, is not a sensible decision. I mean, up until this point, I'm not aware that I've never had complaints of from people saying that people are doing things that are outside of the bounds of normal in parks. We have a mature and sophisticated society. People aren't doing things crazy as are envisioned in this bylaw. We have a list here of the 48 things you can't do in Saugeen Shores, and I think if it passes, it'll just be a joke for our community. You know, we're going to put a sign up in each park saying have a good time, but don't do these 48 things or we're going to fine you. I mean, it bounds on the ridiculous. And not only that, it also adds a burden to our bylaw enforcement officer and the department that manages him or her, as it may be in the future. I don't agree that we should be passing any bylaws that we don't have the capacity or the intention of enforcing. And this speaks volumes to that effect. You know, you can't moor your boat offshore. Well, is the bylaw officer going to swim out to somebody and say you can't moor your boat out there? To me, the more I read it and the more I looked at it, the more I thought we're just passing bylaws for the sake of passing bylaws. This is, you know, we're not seeing these things being enforced, even on the bigger scale. We have buses parked illegally for months at a time, not being enforced. Our bylaw officer clearly is burdened to the point where he can't cope with what's going on. And to that effect, I would like to see, in fact, a quarterly report produced by the bylaw enforcement department to tell us which bylaws he is in fact getting requests for enforcement and actually enforcing. Because when I talk to people in the community, the notion of breaking a bylaw and being fined for it is really to the laughing stage. People who don't want to abide by bylaws don't, because there's seemingly very little consequence to it. So I would like to see going forward a report, and I would ask that the Director of Protective Services, who's the bylaw comes under, to look into the possibility of producing a quarterly report that tells us exactly which bylaws that we currently have that are being enforced without going to the point of loading on another 48 infractions that he has to look after. Thank you very much.
Further comments to the resolution? I would just say I do appreciate the decision by the administration to remove item 5.4 from the bylaw. I think that certainly makes it much more acceptable to me, and certainly laying out certain a code of behavior for our parks is not a bad thing, and I think that to be clear, like all of our other bylaws, what the community expectations are, and hopefully they will be followed. So if there's nothing further on the resolution, I'll ask all in favor. Oh, did you have something further? Yeah, he did, but he can. In fact, he doesn't have to support a resolution. He's like, only the mover can't vote against it. Okay. All in favor? Opposed? That's carried. So then that moves us then on to the final one, which is a motion moved by Councillor Gray, seconded by Councillor Mayette, that the following bylaw is hereby read a first, second, and third time and finally passed and sealed this 10th day of June 2019. 55, 2019, being a bylaw to authorize a memorandum of understanding with Pierre Danini for the Port Elgin waterfront development. Questions or comments from members of council? Councillor Carr.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and through you, I guess this might be towards David. I'm just curious, I just didn't agree maybe with the wording in it here. It says the town shall approve a 50-year land lease agreement for the waterfront development lands. And I just, in the line before that, it said that, in that punctuation there, it says that we may consider alternative options. Should we be changing the wording in that, or is that going to commit us to a 50-year land lease agreement without us seeing anything beforehand?
Thank you very much for the question. The MOU is non-binding, so anything in here is subject to negotiation and subject to council's approval. We had picked the 50-year as an order of magnitude. When we see the final investment from Mr. Danini's proposal, then we'll recommend to council an appropriate length of time. It might be 50 years. It won't be 2 years. There'll be a sweet spot that will reflect on the order of magnitude of his investment.
That's all I was looking for. I just wanted to be assured that this wasn't going to bind us to a 50-year lease agreement before we've agreed.
Okay. Anything further? Seeing none, all in favor? That's carried. All right, so that moves us on to close to public. I have a motion moved by Councillor Schreider, seconded by the Deputy Mayor, that council move into a close to public session to discuss three matters as follows. 1. In accordance with Bylaw 63, 2015, Section 3.8.2b, regarding personnel matters about identifiable individuals, including municipal or local board employees, regarding the Chief Administrative Officer's work plan and performance review. And 2. In accordance with Bylaw 63, 2015, Section 3.8.2b, regarding personal matters about identifiable individuals, including municipal or local board employees, regarding committee applications. And 3. In accordance with Bylaw 63, 2015, Section 3.8.2f, regarding advice that is subject to solicitor-client privilege, including communications necessary for that purpose regarding the River Road. Questions or comments of the resolution? Seeing none, all in favor? That's carried. We'll reconvene in the committee room. Okay, I have a motion moved by Councillor Carr, seconded by Councillor Rich, that council arise from closed to public session to resume the regular council meeting. All in favor? Carried. I have a motion which is moved by Councillor Grace but unseconded. I have a motion moved by Councillor Grace, seconded by the Vice Deputy Mayor, that Bylaw 56, 2019, being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the Council of the Town of Saugeen Shores, is hereby read a first, second, and third time and finally passed and sealed this 10th day of June 2019. All in favor? Carried. And I have a motion moved by Councillor Mayette, seconded by Councillor Grace, that this regular council meeting of June 10, 2019 hereby adjourns at 9:35 p.m. All in favor? That's carried. We are adjourned. Thank you very much.